When a young woman and a 4-year-old boy suddenly vanish, a community bands together to find them.
Everywhere you went, people were searching for what happened to this young lady and this child.
There was a lot of media attention.
The search would take investigators on a cross-country journey before plunging them into a secret world of a deadly cult.
His control was total with him.
The children don't speak. The women call him Lord.
There was a lot of group sex involved.
But the bizarre sexual rituals are just the tip of the iceberg.
He was able to trigger something inside them that made them not only depend on him, but tolerate murder.
I think in this situation, you can love someone so much that it ends up costing your life.
February 2011. It's a cold, quiet evening in Durham, North Carolina. That is, until a frantic young woman bursts into a downtown police station.
She's a pregnant African-American teenager, and she walks into the Durham Police Department.
She was scared. She was crying.
Please, I need your help. There's crazy things going on.
Okay, sweetheart, slow down. Tell me what's going on.
She tells the desk officer that she escaped from a cult and basically tells it's out in the southern part of Durham.
Oh, yes. It's just crazy things are going on right now.
She told them about this house of horrors that she lived in, where multiple women are impregnated. This man is hurting them and making them have sex with one another.
But according to this young woman, the group sex, the forced pregnancies, that wasn't even the half of it. The real reason she had to get away from this cult was even more shocking.
She reported that she escaped after one of the children, a 4-year-old boy, had been murdered.
Mark, I have a young lady here I think you're going to be interested in speaking to. It's just going to be a minute, okay?
Okay.
It was just so outlandish that it couldn't have been possible.
It was a little fishy, and they decided to investigate a little bit further.
Little do they know, in looking into this young woman's claims, investigators are about to open a Pandora's box of unimaginable horror. One in which they will investigate not only the alleged murder of a child, but the inexplicable disappearance of a young woman named Antoinetta McCoy.
I was just like hoping like this is none of this really happened, but it did. It happened.
Antoinetta McCoy was born in 1983 and grew up in a working class neighborhood in Washington, D.C. with a loving mother and 2 siblings.
Growing up, we didn't have a lot of the physical things that we may have seen other people with, but we had like a bond. We had like spiritual fruitfulness amongst one another.
Antoinetta was quiet. She kept to herself, read her Bible a lot.
I never seen her with a regular book. Even in her bed, she slept in the bed with like 3 Bibles at one time. She was really into it, like it was her thing.
In high school, Antoinetta's religious devotion and introverted personality made her the quintessential wallflower.
Antoinetta was one of the individuals that were outcasts from like the in crowd.
But Antoinetta didn't go completely unnoticed in high school. One young man went out of his way to befriend her. His name was Peter Moses Jr.
Hey, what's going on?
Nothing much.
You know, I was just talking to them, man, and all they talking about is partying and football and all that. That's what I like about you, man, because, you know, it's more to life than that.
Really?
They had a lot of similarities. He was a very quiet individual. They were both into their education. They stood out from the rest. And I think that's probably what drew them to one another.
For 2 outsiders like Antoinetta and Peter, their friendship was a godsend. But it soon morphed into something much more.
It wasn't long before the 2 became high school sweethearts.
Like so many young couples before them, life pulled Peter and Antoinetta in opposite directions after high school.
Peter's family moved from Washington, D.C. to Durham, North Carolina. That move and the distance proved to be an insurmountable hurdle for the relationship.
After high school, they broke up. I mean, it does happen.
Over the next 9 years, Antoinetta focused on her spiritual and professional life.
After high school, she went directly into the working world.
She got a great job. She was thriving as a campus security officer, and she was active in a church.
But while everything seemed to be going well for Antoinetta, the breakup with Peter left a hole in her heart that she longed to fill.
She dated, you know, here and there, but nothing too serious. Finding love for Antoinetta was very important for her because she wanted a family of her own. So she still had faith that there's nothing too big for God.
But the more true love seemed to elude her, the more Antoinetta's faith was tested, especially when a routine visit to the doctor yielded some truly crushing news.
Netta found out that she could not have children. It was the most devastating thing for her ever. Netta went through time periods of depression and sadness because that's all she ever thought about was being a mother.
It's always heartbreaking for a woman who wants to have children to be told she cannot have kids. And she prayed on this many nights.
But in January of 2010, just as Antoinetta seemed to hit rock bottom, she received a message on social media that looked like the answer to her prayers.
DeAndre!
What?
Guess who contacted me? Peter Moses.
Your old boyfriend from high school?
Yeah.
Netta was excited about reconnecting with him, and eventually they set a date for him to come up and meet with her, which he did. And then they had spoke about her coming to visit him.
It was a trip that would change Antoinetta's life.
Hi, Peter.
This house was a 5,000 square foot home in a really nice neighborhood, 2-car garage.
Look at the sea. I was driving up and I can't believe how beautiful your house is. This is amazing.
Thank you.
Peter explained that he shared the home with his extended family.
Yeah, I live here with my aunts. You know, I live upstairs and they live downstairs.
Antoinetta spent that afternoon getting to know Peter's family. During that visit, the bond they had shared in high school was instantly reignited.
He told her she was beautiful, and she felt affirmed by him.
For the next few months, Antoinetta traveled back and forth between her job in D.C. and Peter's home in Durham. Then, in the summer of 2010, Peter said the words Antoinetta had been waiting her entire adult life to hear.
I think, we should get, married.
Really?
Yeah, will you marry me?
Yes.
She told her family, I have finally found the man of my dreams.
Netta was very happy because you've been praying for specific things, and then these things just come from out of nowhere.
So she packs her things and she hits the road for Durham, North Carolina.
It was presumed that they would live happily ever after.
But for Antoinetta McCoy, this fairy tale was about to take a very strange and mysterious turn. One that would not only give her family cause for concern, but would ultimately connect Antoinetta with that frightened young woman in the Durham police station, the one who claimed a young child had been murdered.
It was just shocking that all of these cases were linked.
It was hard to fathom that something this evil could happen to people in such a peaceful place.
In the summer of 2010, after reuniting with her high school sweetheart Peter Moses, 28-year-old Antoinetta McCoy feels like she's living a fairy tale.
They reconnected via Facebook, and they were communicating via Facebook for a while.
She finally saw the man of her dreams. He also has a house. He has all these established things that she's not used to experiencing with men up in D.C. And she was taken. For once, she felt like she fit in.
She left her home in Washington, D.C., to move with Peter Moses in his home in Durham, North Carolina.
Everything was phenomenal.
But then, shortly after Thanksgiving, Antoinetta falls off the radar.
They did not hear from her for weeks, and that was different from her normal routine.
We got the happy Thanksgiving text and all that. Christmas, nothing. When my mother's birthday passed, that's when I knew for a fact without a shadow of doubt, this is not making sense. My mother and my sister were like best friends.
For more than a month, calls to Antoinetta's cell phone go unanswered. On February 1st, 2011, Antoinetta's family contacts the D.C. Police Department.
Etienne? Yes, I want to file a missing person report on my sister, Antoinetta McCoy.
Typically, you file a missing persons report where you last saw the person, which is why Antoinetta's family filed a report in D.C., though they thought she may have last been in Durham.
Early on, an investigation of a missing person will include interviewing people who reported her missing and going from there to get information about who else they hang with.
Okay, is she married? No, she's engaged. Have you tried to contact her fiancé? Yes, I tried contacting him.
Peter did not once pick up the phone to call me back, and so that drew a red flag for me.
Later that day, missing persons investigators reach out to Peter Moses. What Peter tells them seems plausible.
Peter told investigators that she left on her own because she was upset about an issue with money.
Have you talked with her family at all?
You know, it wasn't my place to tell her family that we wasn't together no more. He thought that's something she would do.
He thought she went back to Washington.
To police, Peter's explanation seems reasonable. They know that in cases like Antoinetta's, people don't always contact family right away. They may need time to think, or they may be too embarrassed to admit that the relationship fell apart so quickly.
But to be sure that Antoinetta is safe, investigators take another step to locate her.
The authorities in Washington, D.C. put out an APB, an all-points bulletin in regards to Antoinetta being missing.
They gave a good description of what she was last known to be wearing, how tall she was, her complexion, the type of hairstyle, and her last known whereabouts.
While D.C. police continue their search for Antoinetta, 250 miles away in Durham, investigators are puzzling over another case, the bizarre claims of a young pregnant woman named Tanya Henry.
Tanya shows up at the Durham police station and she is terrified. What she has to tell them is not only outrageous, it's disturbing.
Start with the crazy stuff that you say is going on. I mean, we want to help you.
She said she was part of a cult, that a child had been killed, placed in a suitcase, and stuck up in the attic.
You were witness to these things?
Yes.
The address she gave for the location of this cult was in a more upscale area of Durham, which is why this story was so unbelievable.
Still, in the interest of public safety, detectives have a responsibility to investigate.
There was a detective that was working that evening that took the information and started to do some basic follow-up on it.
The next morning, 2 detectives pull up to the well-manicured home. An attractive woman in her mid-20s, who identifies herself as Vanya Sisk, answers the door.
Can I help you?
Yes, ma'am. Sorry to bother you. We're from the Durham Police Department. We had an eyewitness that there was a situation we need to check out over here.
Okay.
It was said there was a body in your attic.
What?
Yes, ma'am.
That's crazy. You mind if we come in and take a look around? No, of course not.
Police officers actually go to the attic. You know, they look around and they didn't see anything wrong.
But before leaving, detectives make one additional request.
Are there any kids who live here?
Yes, there are. May we see them? Sure.
The children were all in a bedroom, from infant size to 5 or 6 years old.
They're in here, ma'am?
Yes. Hi.
How many kids live here?
8. Are you the mother of all of these children? No, there are 2 other ladies that live here, Lavada and LaRonda. LaRonda has 5 and I have 3.
Vanya basically explains that all of these women wanted to live in this house all together. They could pool their resources, they could live there comfortably, they liked the neighborhood, and it was enough space for all of their children.
You guys are good?
To detectives, this hardly seems like the bloodthirsty cult described by Tanya Henry.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
They were, for lack of a better term, ordinary women.
Which raises an obvious question. Could Tanya have invented her story because she has an axe to grind with these women?
The detectives had no idea what she could have had against these people, but given the shocking nature of the allegations and no obvious proof behind them, they had to wonder.
With no evidence of a crime, it would seem Tanya's story is nothing more than the ramblings of a troubled young woman.
She seems so off-kilter that she could have been mentally unstable. It's possible that she may have something against one of the women who live in the house, or is making the story up. Really, any of these situations are more likely than a murder at the house where the detectives just came from.
But in the days to come, a startling discovery would prompt police to take another look at the unsuspecting home on Pear Tree Lane and the seemingly kind-hearted women who live there.
It's unbelievable to think things like that happen in our society, or any society for that matter.
After an unnerving exchange with 16-year-old Tanya Henry, police in Durham, North Carolina have searched a home on Pear Tree Lane in a quiet suburban neighborhood. Tanya claims the residence is home to a deadly cult and that the cult's members were hiding the body of a 4-year-old boy in their attic. But what detectives find inside doesn't exactly gel with Tanya's story.
This was a nice middle-class home in the middle of southeast Durham. There was no sign of any violence, there was no body in the attic, and the children appeared well taken care of.
It seemed like perhaps Tanya had an axe to grind with all of these women.
But as the days roll by, one of the detectives who searched the home begins to have second thoughts.
Did it seem weird to you in there with those kids? They were quiet. They were still. They just don't act like any kids I've ever been around.
These detectives were at the house for an hour, and these children sat in this room totally reverent, not speaking, not moving around, not fidgeting.
That just seems unheard of for children of that age.
She got very curious about it and started doing a little digging.
Social services in their community had reported to the police and had in their records that there were a total of 9 children that should have been in that home.
There should be 9, not 8.
So the question became, what happened to that 9th child?
On February 20th, detectives returned to the residence on Pear Tree Lane, hoping to account for the 9th child.
Social service records states that there should be 9 children living here. But earlier when we met with you, you said it was 8.
Right.
Where's the other child?
My oldest son, Jaden, he sometimes stays with his babysitter.
You have a phone number you can give us?
Of course.
Where's Jaden's father?
He lives in Atlanta. We're divorced.
And what about the other children? Where are their fathers?
Actually, he lives here with us.
They all have the same father?
Yes.
He had 3 different women in his mind that he was married to, and all of these women lived together and they all had children.
He was never legally married to any of these women. They consider themselves his wives because they live together with him in unity.
It's a revelation made all the more troubling by the fact that it mirrors some of the claims made by Tanya Henry the night she arrived at the downtown station begging for help.
Tanya had said that multiple women were having sex with one man. So this admission by Vanya, Lavada, and LaRonda seems to corroborate at least part of Tanya's statement.
Detectives pressed the women for more details about their plural marriage. Turns out their bond is religious in nature.
They consider themselves all Black Hebrew Israelites, which holds that African Americans are the true descendants of the ancient Israelites. Like any religion, the beliefs of the Black Hebrew Israelites vary from group to group. Some are more mainstream, some are more extreme.
Some Black Hebrew Israelites believe that pretty soon there's going to be a race war, and the African Americans are basically going to be the supreme race over all other races.
According to these women, their husband, who they refer to as Lord, not only believed in the coming race war, but also polygamy, which put him at the very extreme end of the Black Hebrew Israelites' belief system.
Where's your husband now? Is he working? Where is he?
He's out on the air, and our Lord doesn't work.
The women refer to him as my Lord.
Women would go out and earn money and bring it back and give it to him.
They also have social support through welfare and stuff like that.
It is clear that this family has some religious beliefs that are outside of the mainstream. Does it mean that they're capable of murdering a child? That is way over the top.
The best way to get the answers they're looking for is to find this 9th child, Jaden Higginbotham.
What raised yet another red flag was that when the detectives checked the number that Vanya gave for Jaden's babysitter, the number was disconnected.
It was quite apparent to the police investigators that she was trying to cover up critical information from them about where this little boy could have been. They knew that it was something going on in that home. What they didn't know is exactly what.
With their suspicions mounting, detectives decide it's time to expand their investigation.
They canvassed the area to see if there were any witnesses that had seen the boy recently or noticed anything suspicious.
Though no one has information on the child in question, one neighbor reveals that she did witness something odd outside the home the previous December.
I saw a young lady running outside in her nightgown and a couple of girls running after her.
She's like, yeah, I remember this girl coming running and these women coming running and are tackling her in my front yard.
Then a man came out and they all just settled down and went back inside.
He began to direct the women to bring this woman back to the house, and they eventually took her back into the home.
Detectives show the neighbor photos of the 3 women living in the home and also of Tanya Henry. But she says that the woman that she saw running from the house was someone else.
You didn't think about calling the cops?
No, because I thought it was some type of group home for bad girls or something.
The neighbor just thought it was a situation where you had this mentally ill or mentally challenged person that had escaped from this group home.
But who is this mystery woman? And where is 4-year-old Jaden Higginbotham? As the days roll by, those questions continue to gnaw at detectives.
It's just like overload. And everyone's sitting there looking like, man, something's going on there.
On March 3rd, 2011, less than a month into their investigation, authorities officially declared Jaden Higginbotham a missing person. Without concrete evidence of a crime, investigators press forward and hit pay dirt through the missing persons database.
Some information on this case was put into a database that goes nationwide, and a detective in D.C. picked up on it through that system. So that detective got in touch with the officers here in Durham.
He was working on a missing persons case involving a woman, and he said that his case might be linked to the missing child case they were working on.
The detective in D.C. said he was investigating the disappearance of Antoinetta McCoy.
But what did Antoinetta McCoy have to do with a polygamous sect of Black Hebrew Israelites, or the case of a missing child? When detectives begin to unlock the truth, no one can believe what they find.
It is repulsive. It's repulsive.
This is just unbelievable.
You can't make this stuff up.
The investigation of a polygamous cult in Durham, North Carolina has yielded a startling discovery. That 4-year-old Jaden Higginbotham is missing and may be dead. At least if self-proclaimed former cult member Tanya Henry is to be believed.
After detectives in North Carolina uploaded information to a national database about Jaden's case, a detective in Washington, D.C. saw the information, and he thought that it probably could be related to the disappearance of 28-year-old Antoinetta McCoy.
But what makes investigators so sure Antoinetta's disappearance is related to that of 4-year-old Jaden?
According to Antoinetta's family, she was living with Peter Moses and his extended family in a Durham suburb on Pear Tree Lane.
When Durham detectives get the address of Peter's house, it's a match.
It was the same address that the detectives were investigating regarding the disappearance of Jaden Higginbotham.
Detectives are thinking that Peter Moses' so-called extended family could be these 3 women who claim they share a husband, and that the man they refer to as Lord could be Peter Moses.
Could Antoinetta have escaped and taken Jaden with her in order to protect him? It seems plausible.
With so many X factors at play, Durham police appoint Detective Charles Soule to head up the investigation. For Soule and his team, the first step is to sit down with the alleged former cult member, Tanya Henry.
Tanya, we are trying to figure out what happened to Jaden Higginbotham, but we're also trying to figure out what happened to a woman who was supposedly engaged to Peter Moses.
Okay.
Now, when you were living in Peter's home, do you remember another woman named Antoinetta McCoy?
Yes, I do.
And do you know where Antoinetta is now?
Yes, I do, actually.
According to Tanya, when Antoinetta moved in, she did not realize that Peter was in a polygamous relationship with her and 3 other women. But it didn't take her long to figure it out. Antoinetta was so desperate for love and to have a family that she was willing to accept this if it meant that she could be with Peter.
Who's your Lord?
You are.
That's right.
But according to Tanya, while Antoinetta may have begrudgingly accepted the polygamous aspect of her and Peter's relationship, she had grave concerns about the religious doctrine Peter was preaching.
Antoinetta was raised in the church. Some of the things that Peter Moses was preaching was very inconsistent with her knowledge of the Bible.
Tanya tells detectives that nothing made Antoinetta more uncomfortable than when Peter turned his preachings to 4-year-old Jaden, Vanya's son from a previous relationship.
That's what I'm talking about right there. Jaden is a curse to this family.
Black Hebrew Israelites are strongly against homosexuality, and Jaden's father was openly gay.
The other people in the house were under the impression that he possibly could have been gay because his father was gay, and they shunned on that. The other people in the house were afraid to show him extra love because of what Peter was enforcing. And Netta took up extra time with him. The love that he was lacking from his own mother, she provided him with that love.
Tanya says Antoinetta's affection for Jaden didn't sit well with his mother, Vanya Sis.
Vanya could not take Antoinetta because she didn't have the courage to love her child. But my sister did.
Antoinetta was somewhat being cast out of their fellowship, if you will.
Tanya says that in early November, Antoinetta went to visit her family. When she returned a few days later, young Jaden was nowhere to be found.
It was as if he'd been erased from the family.
She was giving conflicting stories about what happened to him.
According to Tanya, a few weeks later, Antoinetta learned the horrible truth.
She overheard one of the women speaking about his death. That's how she found out that Jaden was ultimately killed.
I'm just so glad it wasn't me, that Peter was able to kill him, because I don't think I could.
She really, really lost it at that point.
Get her! Go!
She actually ran out of the house. And Pete basically instructed these women, you better go get her.
there was no way that he was going to let her leave.
Sit down! This story is particularly chilling because this confirms that Antoinetta was the woman seen running from the house back in December.
So, Tanya, what exactly happened when they brought her back in the house?
They killed her.
And why didn't you do anything? Why didn't you call the police?
Because I was afraid they would kill me too.
Tanya explains to investigators how Antoinetta was brutally beaten and ultimately shot to death that night in December.
She told detectives that after that night, she feared for her own safety. She decided to lay low for a few weeks until she could finally escape and come forward.
Based on the information that we had from Tanya, 1 of 3 search warrants was executed at the home.
But when detectives knock on the door, there's no answer. Upon gaining entry, they are shocked to discover the house is empty.
They're gone.
All of their belongings are gone.
They had left. They're in flee mode.
But where had Peter Moses, his 3 wives, and their 8 children gone? Before police can answer that question, they make another horrific discovery.
He believed in what he was doing. He was passionate about it. And the women gassed him up. They were his fuel.
Police in Durham, North Carolina are on the hunt for polygamous cult leader Peter Moses, along with his 3 remaining wives and their 8 children.
Detectives had reason to believe that Peter and his 3 wives may be responsible for the disappearance and alleged murders of 28-year-old Antoinetta McCoy and 4-year-old Jaden Higginbotham. But when they executed the search warrant on the home, everyone was gone.
While one team of investigators works to track down Peter and his family, another begins a search of the vacant home.
They left some stuff behind, huh?
They had moved out, but they had left stuff. A lot of trash.
What is this?
What is it?
It looks like a diary. Check this out.
We also found journals from Antoinetta. She wrote a lot. And in those journals, she talked about like her torment and struggle with what was going on.
When Antoinetta moved to Durham, she believed that Peter was the perfect man. But soon after moving in, she came to learn the real truth.
The whole family is having dinner, and that's when Peter drops the bomb on her. He tells her, these are not my aunts, these are not my cousins, they're actually my wives and my children.
He had them disguised as his aunts to lure her in.
Even though in this particular situation, Peter had other wives, she could be his wife. And that's something that she wanted, and they actually went through a complete ceremony.
She gets dolled up in a white dress, she gets to walk down the aisle and marry the man of her dreams.
Though Antoinetta's journal details a few fleeting moments of happiness with the family's children, particularly young Jaden, it also reveals tremendous suffering at the hands of a sexual predator.
They were forced to sleep with each other and sleep with him as many times as he wanted.
You do not have to be highly intelligent or educated to control someone's mind. You have to give them what they want. And for humans need praise. If you give them what they need, you can begin to control their mind. And by doing that, you're controlling their behavior.
Peter was very selective with the women he invited to live with him. They all had self-esteem issues, and he knew how to manipulate and exploit that.
I'm gonna just be completely honest. She had a lot of insecurities.
Antoinette, because she had low self-esteem, was certainly subject to being victimized by Pete Moses.
When Peter's mind games didn't work, he would resort to violence to keep his wives in line.
He used physical punishment as the impetus for getting them to acquiesce to what he wanted.
According to Antoinetta's journal, rather than blaming Peter for the physical and emotional abuse he inflicted, Antoinetta blamed herself.
She really did think it was her fault that he was beating her or that he was sexually unsatisfied with her, which according to the journal was true, at least when it came to Antoinetta's inability to have children.
In those journals, she also had like pleas in there to him, like, my Lord, please forgive me, I'm sorry. Because one of the things with Antoinetta was that she couldn't reproduce.
When Peter found that out, he was not happy about it.
As heartbreaking as Antoinetta's diary is, it's not the most telling discovery detectives make inside the house.
We turn your flashlights off, please.
There was evidence that corroborated that a serious assault or a murder had occurred.
There was blood found in the garage. There was evidence of blood in the bathroom. There was a bullet lodged in a location in the bathroom. And there was a shell casing found in the house.
We found Jaden's baby book with his inked impressions of his feet and pictures of him when he was newborn that no mother would abandon. That convinced me that, Jaden was gone.
While the circumstantial evidence continues to mount, it's what detectives don't find that concerns them the most.
They thoroughly searched the house and the property, but there were no bodies found anywhere.
So if Antoinetta and Jaden were killed, where were their bodies?
Durham police issue a nationwide bolo alert for Peter and his wives. 4 days later, a tip comes in from Vania Sisk's hometown of Colorado Springs, Colorado.
They go to Colorado and secure somewhere to live. And during that time, Vania runs into Jaden's grandmother in a store, and she confronts Vania and calls 911.
According to Jaden's grandmother, Peter, his 3 wives, and the 8 surviving children are all living at a house on the west side of town. Within hours, a team of officers descends on the family's new home. A police search of the house and the surrounding area yields even more evidence of criminal activity.
The police found a .22 caliber weapon on the roof of a townhome there in Colorado, and they were able to match that weapon up using ballistics and forensics to the bullet shell casing and to the bullets that was found in the home in which they initially lived.
After officers ensure that all 8 children are alive and well, they arrest Peter Moses and extradite him to North Carolina. There, prosecutors make the difficult decision not to charge Peter with murder, but rather with 2 counts of kidnapping.
While there was evidence of an assault and possibly murder, it's a lot easier to prove the kidnapping without the body than, of course, to prove the homicide without the body.
Meanwhile, back in Colorado, Peter's 3 wives, Vania Sisk, Lavada Harris, and LaRonda Smith, are allowed to remain free.
It was kind of the theory of like separating the head from the snake, and he was incarcerated. And we figured eventually, they would find no reason to cooperate.
But even with Peter behind bars in North Carolina, the 3 women remain unwavering in their devotion to him.
We monitored his phone calls because they were very intent on calling him. And on these calls, he would still exert control over them. And they would individually get on the phone and each tell him, I love you, I love you. His control was total with them. None of them gave him up in their statements.
Over the next few months, under the strain of the investigation, the women's financial situation begins to crumble. But they never hesitate to make Peter their top priority.
They actually would drive to Raleigh, North Carolina, and give their blood for like $60 for a donation, and they'd bring it back and put it in his jail canteen so he could get different things. These ladies were devout. Their kids were in the custody of the Department of Social Services, and when we asked them, who do you love more, your children or Pete? There was hesitation. There was these kind of things just were baffling to me.
With Vania, Lavada, and LaRonda refusing to turn on their beloved leader, prosecutors face an uphill battle.
Without a body, it's very hard to prove that a crime was even committed, let alone a homicide or a murder.
Desperate for new leads, Durham authorities elicit the public's help.
Law enforcement were making it as public as possible to get whatever help they could get. There was a lot of media attention in the entire area.
The news coverage of this case went way past Durham. Everywhere you went, people were searching for what happened to this young lady and this child.
We had resources from a great organization, the Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Their resources are enormous, based out of Northern Virginia and D.C. area. They have a group called Team Adam, which responds with physical resources and has experts in research on graves and child graves. So we ran the gamut with this.
They had like massive hunt. They had large teams looking for the bodies. They had dog hunt and everything. There was a lot of tax dollars spent on the retrieval of these missing bodies.
Nearly 4 months pass and the bodies of Antoinetta McCoy and Jaden Higginbotham are still nowhere to be found. Then on June 8th, 2011, there's an unexpected break in the case.
This plumber was digging beside the home to try to get to one of the pipes leading to the home, I guess to conduct some type of repair. As he continued to dig, he came across a bag, and then that smell, that foul odor, was emanating from that bag. He knew right away what possibly was in that bag. It was either a human being or an animal. In either case, he decided to alert the authorities.
We had all kinds of electronic and physical surveillance on these folks. And one of the addresses that was significant to our surveillance is this address, because it was a prior residence for them.
When investigators peer inside the buried bag, there's no doubting its contents.
The bag contained a woman's decomposing remains.
They confirmed that it was Antoinetta's body.
So tragic. This woman was left to rot in a bag behind a house.
Over the next 24 hours, officers excavate the surrounding area, hoping to find 4-year-old Jaden's body.
We used some electronic, like ultrasonic, x-raying the ground, density type of stuff. And it was kind of an anomaly.
About 15 feet away from where her body was found, they came across the remains of Jaden. He was actually wrapped in a baby blanket, his own baby blanket.
The discovery of the bodies also yields physical evidence implicating the family in both murders.
The bodies were wrapped in plastic and tape. Fingerprints found on the tape matched that of Pete Moses and Lavada.
Ballistics found from Antoinetta's shooting matched the ballistic evidence of the gun found in Colorado.
We were able to get an arrest warrant, and we started picking the folks up throughout that day and that evening.
With the entire cult now in custody, detectives believe it's just a matter of time before one of them breaks their code of silence regarding the crimes. But perhaps the biggest shock is who among them decides to sing first.
Everyone was in disbelief.
That's what cowards do. All talk and no bite.
On June 10th, 2011, after discovering the decomposing bodies of 28-year-old Antoinetta McCoy and 4-year-old Jaden Higginbotham in the backyard of an otherwise unassuming residence, police in Durham, North Carolina have officially charged polygamous cult leader Peter Moses with murder, along with his 3 wives, Dania Sisk, Lavada Harris, and LaRonda Smith.
This was huge news in Durham.
Shortly after the arrests are made public, Durham County prosecutors announced they will be seeking the death penalty against all 4 defendants.
The death penalty was definitely in play because of his premeditation and deliberation.
But even before the trial begins, Peter Moses' defense team begins laying the groundwork for an insanity defense.
At the age of 10, Peter was taken into a mental health facility for suicidal ideation, which led to the diagnosis of bipolar disorder, a mood disorder characterized by mood swings. Sometimes you're very, very, very high, euphoric, and then there's times when you're very, very low. The defense attorneys speculated that the bipolar disorder was the trigger to his violent behavior that resulted in Antoinetta's death.
It's a claim Antoinetta McCoy's friends and family find unbelievable.
He knew exactly everything he was doing. It had nothing to do with bipolar.
There are plenty of people that suffer from bipolar disorder, and they're not homicidal maniacs. They don't go around shooting 4-year-olds execution style.
But even as they face the death penalty, Peter's 3 wives continue to stand behind him.
The wives refused to give up any information that would incriminate Peter Moses.
However, as the case makes its way toward trial, it becomes clear that Peter Moses doesn't share the same devotion to his wives as they do to him.
His attorneys reached out and said, Peter wants to make a deal.
The case didn't even go to trial. Peter took the plea deal, and as a result, he's serving 2 consecutive life sentences where he could have faced a death penalty. Peter told everything. He explained in detail how these murders happened, and he also made sure to say that his wives had a hand in this.
It was up to the other women. I said, yo, you want to kill her? And they raised their hand and said, yeah.
When we were talking about cooperating with him, it was a deal with the devil.
But in cases like this, if a defendant is willing to plead to a significant sentence, it makes sense to avoid trial.
This man preyed on these women, convinced them to follow him, and even kill for him. And they're still defending him. And he turned on them without a second thought.
I had the displeasure of talking to him for multiple hours when he confessed. He wasn't at all remorseful. Like a sociopath. Someone that could kill you and not think twice about it. Very disturbing.
Peter calmly lays out the details of 4-year-old Jaden's murder.
It was brought to Pete's attention that Jaden had touched one of the kids on his bottom.
Peter Moses felt as though Jaden may grow up to be homosexual because at 4 years old, he touched the buttocks of another one of the children living in the home.
Like when you gay, you gotta die.
He said he got in this fit of rage and he was pacing upstairs, what he was going to do.
Peter says that's when he ordered the women out of the room.
So he got his gun, he grabbed Jaden and shot him in the back of the head. I mean, obviously any murder is horrific, but I mean, a child, just multiplies it. And I mean, Jaden wasn't doing anything wrong. He was just a kid being a kid.
He went to Vania and shared with her that he shot her 4-year-old in the back of the head. He said that she just cried a little bit. She stopped crying. They went and had sex. And then the next thing you know, it's go on with your life. Just like that. After Peter killed the 4-year-old boy, he instructed the women to clean up the blood, clean up the area, put the body in a briefcase or a suitcase and take it and sit it in the attic.
What stood out to me the most was that someone can have that much control over people and their minds that they control their behavior.
But for prosecutors, it was Antoinetta's violent murder that demonstrated just how much control Peter Moses exerted over his wives.
When Antoinetta learned that Jaden was killed, she made a desperate attempt to leave the house. When Peter learned that she had tried to escape, he had the other women of the house bring her back.
Hey, bring her ass inside.
Peter physically beat Antoinetta and made the other women of the house watch. They later joined in.
They tortured her. They urinated on her.
They tried to strangle her with an extension cord.
Don't let nobody get between family. You get what I'm saying?
It was a torturous situation that went on there. And then eventually, according to Pete, Vania shot her in the head.
She obviously was willing to go to just about any height to protect Pete from facing justice for killing her son, to the point where she was willing and did kill Antoinetta.
Once the 3 wives learn that their lord, Peter Moses, has turned on them, they all come clean about their involvement.
All the women in this case pled guilty to murder. They all pled into significant sentences.
LaRonda received a sentence in the neighborhood of a minimum of 23 and a half years. Lavada pled guilty to accessory after the fact, and in total received a minimum sentence of 12 years. Vania, 6, received a sentence of a minimum of 30 years.
If I can say anything to Vania, I would tell her I feel pity for her. And Pete Moses, you should be ashamed of yourself. You are a poor, ridiculous excuse for a human being. And I hope you get everything that you deserve in life. Everything.
And though nothing can bring back Antoinetta and Jaden, their story serves as a cautionary tale about what happens when those who feel they are not worthy of another's love cross paths with someone willing to exploit those feelings for their own twisted motives.
Antoinetta is like all of us. All we want is to be loved, to be married, and to have a family of our own. However, Peter never loved her. All he wanted to do was to manipulate her and to control her.
Peter Moses literally believed that he had the power of God. Unfortunately, these women believed and followed him. That was very tragic, because in the end, Peter was nothing more than a false prophet, a manipulative, cold-blooded murderer.
It's sad, but that's the world that we live in, a sad one. It's not even the world, it's the people.
Sadly, there will always be extremists in any religion. And in this case, the result was the abuse and eventual death of 2 innocent people.
It was a relationship born on the battlefield.
They had served together in Iraq. He was a handsome guy, and ladies liked the way he looked in a uniform.
She was just beautiful, and she loved people.
She saw herself being an officer. She saw herself married. She saw herself one day with kids.
But those dreams are shattered when a string of mysterious disappearances rocks their tight-knit Southern community.
I've been calling you for several days, and you return my phone call.
You need to call somebody and let somebody know something, baby. Anybody heard from you?
You got 2 young women going missing between a week of one another.
This was a successful individual, young, her whole future in front of her.
She graduated August the 12th. She received her master's. And, it just didn't make sense. 4 days later, you gone.
But as this investigation picks up steam, a deadly discovery will bring everyone's worst fear to fruition.
Oh my God, this is a young girl.
This is a case that you don't normally see people that do this, unless you're Jeffrey Dahmer or or somebody that has a very twisted personality.
I hope it's not that girl. Oh, Jesus. Jesus, Jesus, Jesus.
He was supposed to be an okay guy. That's why all of this makes no sense.
He was a demon walking the earth.
Thursday, August 23rd, 2012. It's an early summer morning in a peaceful neighborhood just north of Columbia, South Carolina. But on this day, there's a buzz of excitement in the air.
It was the first day of school, so you had buses back on the road, you had kids walking to school, you had parents walking their kids to school, taking their kids to school. You know, it was the hustle and bustle connected with the first day of school.
At a home on the north side of town, a young mother named Kristen Brown is preparing to do just that.
Come on, get buckled up. Mommy's gonna be so late for work. Okay, Mom. Did you get your lunch?
Here's this woman, typical morning, getting ready to take her kid to school. While departing, she looks in the neighbor's yard, and what do you see?
Hold on.
There was a body in the front yard.
She was face down in the front yard.
Moments later, Kristen's frantic 911 call reaches area dispatchers.
I just found a dead female, black young female, right next door to my house. You just found what, Sam? A dead, black, young female in my neighbor's front yard.
She was in shock, and for a good reason.
It's crazy. Nice neighborhood. I think a fairly new subdivision. Parts of it were fairly new. Everybody's hustling and bustling. It's the first day of school. You know, excited about the school year, excited about doing new things, and someone leaves a body in the front yard of a home. It's crazy.
Even worse, Kristen fears she might recognize the victim.
Jesus Christ, I hope it's not this little girl. Jesus, Jesus, Jesus.
5 days earlier, a 15-year-old girl named Gabby Swainson had disappeared just a few miles from this location. Her disappearance was all over the news, and police issued a massive manhunt. Kristen had every reason to believe that it was her.
We've got help on the way, ma'am, okay? Just try to stay calm and help be there soon.
Jesus Christ.
But as authorities race to the scene, they know Gabby isn't the only young woman to have gone missing in Columbia during the past 24 hours.
The other young woman's name was Almanita Smith. She was a beautiful 26-year-old woman who was a staff sergeant in the U.S. Army and a master's student. Her family had reported her missing 24 hours earlier.
But just who was this person lying lifeless in the yard? And how had she gotten there? The answer will tear a hole in a family's heart and bring investigators face to face with a monster.
In 21 years of law enforcement, that was absolutely the worst thing that I'd ever heard.
Born in Tuskegee, Alabama in 1986, it was clear there was always something special about Almanita Smith.
She was my baby. She was beautiful. She loved people. She loved church. She loved helping people. She was just a warm, loving person.
She was very outgoing, very bright, compassionate, very smart, had quick wit, and was pretty much a born leader. Anything she put her mind to and her heart to it, she did it. She was just that go-getter.
In fact, by the time Almanita hit high school, this doe-eyed beauty displayed a drive and maturity well beyond her years.
She was your typical teenager, but when it was time for her to take on life seriously, she took it on seriously, and she had goals. She had things that she wanted to do.
She was just stellar in school. I mean, that was just her thing. That was real big to her. She was on the basketball team. She played point guard through middle school. Before she would even try out, we would get in the yard, and I made sure that she knew all the fundamentals to every sport. She just naturally had that. She was on the track team. She was a wavette or a dance squad for the band. She played tennis.
She actually won homecoming queen. She was turning into this gorgeous little 5'3" woman.
And Almanita believed it was her destiny to serve in the United States military. After high school, she enlisted in the Army.
She saw herself being an officer. She saw herself married. She saw herself one day with kids. But more than anything, she saw herself making sure her mom and her dad were taken care of.
True to form, in just a few short years, Almanita rose to the rank of staff sergeant while earning a college degree and serving 2 dangerous tours of duty in Iraq.
She was very driven, very motivated. It's like, what's the point of doing it if you can't be the best at doing it?
After Amanita returned from Iraq, she settled in Columbia, South Carolina for grad school. She joined the Army Reserves, earned an MBA, and began working on another master's in education.
She's a homeowner by the age of 24 with 2 degrees, MBAs. That's very impressive for someone her age.
She wanted to retire out of the Army. She went to school for business. Once she finished with her military career, she wanted to open up her own little club/restaurant. My mom used to call it Shenanigans. That's the name of it. They wanted to open that up in the city of Columbia. That's where they wanted it at. She just wanted to be an entrepreneur.
She was focused on her career, but she loved her family and her friends.
Although Amanita dated and had boyfriends over the years, she mostly concentrated on her career and education.
She dated, but that was secondary. She spent most of her time working on herself.
But in the spring of 2012, the blossoming beauty ran into a ghost from her past. 27-year-old California native Marcus Bailey.
Amanita Smith?
Marcus, hey.
Hey, how you doing?
I've been good. How are you?
She had met him during a tour in Iraq.
Here's this guy, Marcus Bailey, another veteran. Handsome, the guy looks great in his uniform, but moreover, he could relate to her. They had something in common, and that was serving in the U.S. Army.
He told Amanita that he was still in the Army and that he was a drill sergeant stationed nearby at Fort Jackson.
He was living in a hotel on Farrow Road, which is not far from Nita's house. Like, it was maybe a mile up the road.
So, any plans?
Well, I always had dreams of being a club DJ.
When she met him, you know, he was doing well. He was nice. He's in the military as well. Very sweet, very focused, just a nice guy.
Over the next few months, Amanita and Marcus did their best to stay in touch.
When they would go to parties, they would see each other and was talk, casual conversation. But she told me that they wanted to be in a relationship.
I think there was just a period where she met him and kind of moved fast.
Amanita has this nice home, 4 bedrooms. She's 24 years old. She's got everybody but somebody to share this with. He needed a place to stay. She was lonely. They were dating. It only made sense in her mind that, hey, why don't you come live with me?
While it seemed like Amanita's life was a fantasy come true, the summer of 2012 brought with it an even more tangible accomplishment. On August 12th, she earned her master's degree in education from Columbia College.
She had just graduated with her master's degree, and the following week, she was supposed to go through an officer program.
It seemed like life was coming up roses for Amanita. That's why what happened next was so impossible to believe.
Her daddy and her mama was calling. The school had been calling, and that is when they realized something was wrong.
In the summer of 2012, Army reservist Amanita Smith was on the fast track to success in Columbia, South Carolina.
She had just graduated with her master's degree, and she was a top performer. She had the backing of her chain of command. They wanted to see her do great. They knew that she can do great. They just wanted to see exactly what the future held for her.
She was so driven. There are a lot of 25-year-olds that ain't doing nothing. And there are a lot of 40-year-olds that haven't completed or even remotely did half of what she had accomplished.
A string of accomplishments that Amanita happily shared with her love interest, Marcus Bailey.
She had reconnected with Marcus in the spring of 2012. They started dating, and he eventually moved into Amanita's home.
Everything was going great for her.
But that good life was about to take an unexpected and mysterious turn. It begins the morning of Wednesday, August 22nd. Amanita is scheduled to be in a class for officer candidate school, but she never arrives.
Whatever she set forth, all her goals, she wanted to accomplish them. So if there was some place she had to be on time, she was going to be there on time. Her classmates in the program was calling her, trying to find out where she was. It was unheard of.
Hey, Amanita, you weren't in class today, so I was seeing what was going on. Give me a call back.
That was completely unlike her. She was not going to not go to school. She was a stickler for her responsibilities and what she needed to do. She would have not just not gone to school unless something had happened.
Almanita's classmates aren't the only ones concerned about her whereabouts.
Her dad had been calling her, and her dad couldn't get her. The school had been calling for Nita. They couldn't get her.
It was extremely out of character for her not to be in contact with her parents. Like, I know she talked to her daddy every night, like every day.
Unable to reach Almanita on her cell, her father tries calling her home phone, but Marcus picks up.
He answered me. I said, Marcus, this is Almanita's father. Have you seen her? Oh, yeah, she just left an hour and a half ago, something like that. I said, well, who did she leave with? Oh, she left with some friends. She kept it short. I said, well, what color car was she in? In old maroon. That's a male or female. He said male.
By that afternoon, there was still no sign of Almanita. It's then that her father, Harold Davis, makes a decision.
I called Nita's mom, and I called Richland County Sheriff Department.
Ma'am, my name is Harold Davis. I'm calling from Tuskegee, Alabama. I have a daughter. My name is Almanita Smith. She lives in Columbia, South Carolina. And I haven't talked to her since Friday. And we normally talk every day or every other day. And I want to know if I can get someone to go by her home and check and see what's going on.
Okay, Mr. Davis, we're going to send an officer out there to see if they can try to make contact with her.
They send a deputy out, goes to the house, knocks on the door. Marcus answers the door.
Hi, I'm Officer O'Donnell. We're here to do a welfare check at this address.
For who?
For an Almanita Smith. You mind if we come on in?
Of course.
Are you aware where she is?
Well, she was here early today, but she went shopping. I wasn't aware that she was missing.
He was at the home by himself. He said that Almanita had left that day, earlier that day at about 11 o'clock, and had gone shopping. He said that she received a phone call from someone. He didn't know who. He said she went into a dark-colored Toyota and left. He didn't see the driver. The driver didn't come in. The driver just beeped the horn from outside and drove off.
Marcus says, well, she's still not back. Matter of fact, and putting it on the speaker, he tries to give her a call. Doesn't answer the phone. Then he even sends a text message, but yet no response.
Do you mind if we look around?
Yeah, of course.
She did a cursory search of the residence. There at that point, didn't appear to be anything out of the ordinary.
While Marcus is talking to them, he remains calm, talks to them in a normal tone, and officers being trained to spot signs of domestic violence or struggle. When they looked at Marcus, there were no signs. There were no cuts. There were no bruises, no scratches. So things appeared to be as normal.
Well, thanks. If you hear from Almanita, do you mind having her call her father? He's pretty concerned about her.
Yeah, of course.
But just what had happened to Almanita? As the hours tick by that evening, no one seems to have an answer.
I had called up a couple of her friends, and they hadn't seen her.
At this point, nobody knows who this potential guy in this dark car is. Family doesn't know. Marcus doesn't know. We're just following a story down a rabbit hole.
She would have not gone away with someone without someone knowing. I mean, she would have called.
But for officers at the Richland County Sheriff's Department, there's further cause for concern. Almanita isn't the only young African-American woman to have gone missing in Columbia this week.
At this same time, there was a missing teenager that had been missing in the neighborhood.
5 days earlier, a young girl named Gabby Swainson had disappeared. She was all over the news. This was a reoccurring story. Nobody knew where she was.
She had been missing for a while. We had believed that she had been kidnapped by someone that's close to the home.
They had organized searches, manhunts. You know, people were out trying to figure out where was this young girl.
Is it possible these two disturbing disappearances are connected? At this point, no one knows for certain.
Almanita's friends and family were deeply concerned. What are the odds of two young African-American women going missing in the same area in the same week?
But in less than 24 hours, a sickening discovery will close a chapter on one of these two missing person cases and open the door to a baffling murder investigation.
It was a shocker to me. I got a phone call from my sister, and it was awful.
That was the worst day of my life.
In less than a week, two young African-American women have gone missing in Columbia, South Carolina. The first person was a 15-year-old cheerleader named Gabby Swainson. Then, just 5 days after her disappearance, 26-year-old Amanita Smith, a beloved Army veteran, vanished as well.
Richland County is kind of a small town atmosphere. It's a very small town. People know each other. People care for each other. That's one of the things that we're known for. And you have something like this happen. It scared the community.
It was a real sense of helplessness because I didn't have anybody to call. It wasn't like you can just, so I didn't know what to do.
Amanita's father, Harold, is less indecisive. On the night of August 22, 2012, he makes plans to drive up from his home in Alabama to search for his daughter.
I just felt so bad. I was going to leave. I started to leave that night, but I really wasn't prepared. So I was going to leave the next morning.
That evening, he gets a phone call from Amanita's boyfriend, Marcus.
It was about 6:30 that night. He called me and asked me, Mr. Davis, I heard you might be coming up. I just want to know I got to start school in the morning, so I know what time you'll be here. So I said, I'll let you know.
Harold and his family spend a restless evening in Alabama. But on August 23rd, before they can leave town, a discovery 300 miles away changes everything.
At 6:45 a.m. on August 23rd, a woman named Kristen Brown was leaving her home in North Columbia to take her daughter to school when she saw a body lying in her neighbor's yard.
Kristen's ensuing 911 call leaves little speculation as to the identity of the female victim.
Oh my God, this is a young girl.
Hey, we're getting everyone on the way, all right?
And she's a cute girl. Oh my God.
She thought maybe that was the missing person that we were looking for. This was the missing teen.
Everybody thought it was Gabby Swainson.
That's the first thing that came to my head. We found her, unfortunately.
Oh my God. But just before first responders arrive at the scene, a man races from the front door of 613 Heron Glen Drive. It's Marcus Bailey.
Marcus, he comes outside, and his reaction immediately is he starts sobbing. He's emotional. She was face down in the front yard. He rolled her over and was able to recognize her.
The victim isn't Gabby Swainson as everyone fears, but Marcus's girlfriend, Amanita Smith.
She's laying face down. He goes out and throws a blanket over the body. He was having chest pains, having a reaction to seeing the corpse.
Stand on that, bud. Come with me.
He was having some kind of an attack. They took him to the hospital to get him evaluated.
With Amanita's grieving boyfriend now removed from the scene, investigators take their first look at their victim. And what they see isn't pretty.
It was very hot outside, and Amanita was in this state of decomposition.
The body was in a decomp state of excessive swelling, especially around the face. The tongue was swelled out of her mouth. Her limbs, you could tell, had an excessive amount of fluid in them, along with the abdomen area and the legs. Her face was very, very puffy, especially around her eyes. And seeing her picture, you could tell that she was the slim military soldier. She was in shape. She wasn't overweight. Her face looked nothing like that. It was swollen. Her eyes were swollen shut. And the way she appeared on the grass is that she appeared to be an overweight person.
Everything starts to decompose at a different rate, but it's you can tell the process is in motion. Again, it's South Carolina in the summer. It was August. It's hot.
Any obvious sign of how she was killed?
But Amanita's state of decomposition presents investigators with a problem.
They couldn't get a definite cause of death. Probably could have been a strangulation. She wasn't stabbed. She wasn't shot.
And then there's the question of how Amanita's body ended up where it did. Could the mystery man she allegedly left her home with the day before have intentionally placed her here?
This is an odd case. This is a case that you don't normally see people that do this unless you're Jeffrey Dahmer or somebody that has a very twisted personality.
It suggests some kind of message. Why would someone take her away and cause her harm and then bring her back and lay her in the front yard without there being some kind of significance to that?
While Amanita's body is transported to the Richland County Medical Examiner's office for an autopsy, news of her death has reached friends and family.
Her death, great loss. It did exactly like a tsunami, an earthquake. She touched so many people's lives. It devastating.
I was called at 9 o'clock that morning and drove straight to her house. I mean, it was a surreal experience for me.
She was a loving, kind person. She never did any harm to anyone. If she can help you, she gonna help you. She got your back. When you're right, she got your back.
While those close to Almanita begin to converge at her home, Detective Martin heads to the hospital to have a chat with Marcus Bailey.
At that point, he said that he wanted to speak with us.
I know this is a very difficult time for you, but are you comfortable answering some questions right now?
Yes, sir. I'll try.
He said Almanita was a really good person. She had just graduated from college, and she was in the process of being selected for an officer position in the Army.
While Marcus seems genuinely upset by Almanita's death, investigators want to hear his story again.
We asked him the last time he saw her again. He said he saw her on the 22nd at about 11:30, and he said that she had left with this mysterious person.
I didn't really get a good look at his face.
So you're in a relationship with Almanita together, yet you're okay with her going off with a strange man?
It's kind of complicated.
He said that they had a open relationship. Sometimes they would be together, sometimes they'd be with other people. And she was allowed to kind of do whatever she wanted to do.
She still allowed me to live there as long as I paid the rent.
But it's what Marcus says next that's the most alarming detail to investigators.
He said, well, she was picking up men on Craigslist. Men were buying her things.
The obvious fear is that maybe Almanita met somebody online, and that this person isn't just responsible for her death, but Gabby Swainson's disappearance as well.
It's not unusual for people online to exaggerate the truth about themselves a bit, let alone be totally opposite of who they really are.
But had this beautiful Army veteran really waded into the dangerous waters of online dating? That answer and more was about to swamp this investigation, leaving detectives to sort out the carnage of ill-chosen love.
This isn't what you do to people you love. This isn't how you treat people you love.
On August 23, 2012, a family's worst nightmare comes to fruition when missing 26-year-old Army reservist Almanita Smith is found dead in the front yard of her home.
She had a bright future. Anything she wanted to do, she could have done.
It sickens you because you think about this the victim, and she had a very successful future. She had a very big future. She was doing so many things to make herself better, to prepare for her life.
It's a life that everyone agrees has ended far too soon, making detectives more determined than ever to catch Almanita's killer. But having just interviewed her boyfriend, Marcus Bailey, identifying this individual may not be easy.
Marcus said he and Almanita were in an open relationship and that she was meeting other people online. He said Almanita left the day before her death with a man he had never seen before. Given there was another young woman that disappeared the same week that Almanita did, there were legitimate fears that these cases could be connected.
But as detectives learn more about Almanita and still missing Columbia teen Gabby Swainson, they can't find much more than a tenuous link between the two cases. Back at the crime scene, investigators begin questioning Almanita's friends and family for the first time. When investigators ask about Almanita's dating life, they find it difficult to believe that the straight-laced overachiever would have been so reckless.
She don't meet strangers. She don't meet people on dating sites, Facebook, Instagram, or any of those things. That's not who she was.
As for her relationship with Marcus, they say at first, Almanita had a hard time resisting the charms of her strapping soldier.
I think she met him, and he's one of those people where if that's your thing, he kind of looked right on paper.
But others say their first impression of Marcus left much to be desired.
I can honestly say when I met this character, I was not happy. And I told her that. I thought he was a loser. And that's just by when she introduced me to him. I said, he's nothing.
The way he dressed, the way he drank all the time, the way he interacted with her. I mean, he was just a thug. That's the bottom line. He was a thug.
But Almanita apparently saw something in Marcus that she liked, and she wasn't one to back down from a challenge.
She has a very good heart, very big heart. Maybe she can help him change. That is the impression that I got, that she could help him change.
For the first few months, friends say it seemed like their lives were on solid ground. But then Almanita learned the truth about Marcus's military record.
She found out about some stuff that he was keeping from her about his past.
The military is really a small world. It's like 2 degrees of separation.
And the truth of the matter, friends say, is that Marcus had been living a lie all along.
Marcus Bailey had been dishonorably discharged for fraternization, meaning that he was having relationships with the enlisted personnel that he was supposed to train.
He was sleeping with privates. When you're a drill sergeant, you are not supposed to have any type of sexual contact at all. He ended up taking them back to an apartment, and he was dishonorably discharged because of that.
A fact Marcus failed to share with Almanita.
Last text she sent me about him, she said, I found out that he was not who he say he was.
He had let her believe that he was being demoted, but he had already been kicked out in the whole nine because, you know, the military doesn't play that anymore.
I heard that he was actually getting up, putting on his uniform every day like he was going to work. And he was still representing himself as if he was an active duty soldier.
He got kicked out. He didn't have anywhere to go. He couldn't find a job. He wasn't working or anything. He couldn't get any help from the military.
But besides misrepresenting his own work and military record, it turns out Marcus had another secret. And this one, friends say, was a doozy.
Who's this Janelle that keeps texting you?
Nobody.
Nobody. I don't believe you. Who is she?
Marcus was in fact married to a woman that lived in Colombia.
Your wife?
Although he was estranged from his wife, he had a young son, and she was pregnant with their second child.
When were you going to tell me that?
It's over with.
It's over with.
Yes.
She started to see him and what was going on with him for who he was and had decided she didn't want that to be a part of her life.
Come on, baby.
Don't baby me.
I think she hit a point where, you know, there was no trust. Here I am trying to help you, and here you are trying to use me.
We're done. You can pack your stuff and you can go.
When she finally found out, she wanted him to move out.
Where am I go, huh?
But she felt bad because he didn't have a place to go. So she just let him stay there, move into the other room until he was able to get on his feet.
She was trying to help him.
He was supposed to be more of a roommate. He was supposed to start helping and paying the bills. He was trying to, get unemployment.
As for the contention that Almanita and Marcus might have had an open relationship, her family doesn't buy it.
Never. Never. So either she was with you or she was without you.
To investigators, Marcus sounds like a cancer in Almanita's life. But that still didn't mean their topsy-turvy relationship had culminated in violence. Then, on August 24th, detectives receive Almanita's autopsy report.
4 to 7 days.
Her body had been dead for days. She had been in that state of decomposition. It just wasn't possible that she was alive and well and walking the day before at noon. The conditioning of the skin, the coloring of the skin, the way the fluids were pooling around in her body, the lack of the insects being on her suggests that she wasn't outside. It looks more like she was stored in a house.
But as another piece of this investigation falls into place, there's a far darker chapter of this story that's yet to be told. One so terrible, it's unforgettable.
It's like looking at the devil, like soulless, like there was nothing there.
An autopsy report has just found that 26-year-old military reservist Almanita Smith died at least 3 days before her body was discovered in the front yard of her Columbia, South Carolina home, a fact that seems to contradict Almanita's on-again, off-again boyfriend, Marcus Bailey's statement to police.
He said he saw her on the 22nd at about 11:30, and she was getting dressed up and leaving the house in this mysterious car. The position of the body and where fluid was inconsistent with what he was saying.
But phone records offer investigators another insight into Almanita's love life.
We tried to follow up with, well, who would this person be, this mysterious phone call? Well, there wasn't a phone call there that came in.
In fact, what Almanita's phone records do show is that her family and friends became concerned about her whereabouts as early as August 17th.
Trying to get in contact with you. I hope everything's okay. Yeah, but you need to call me back. 2 days. This is ridiculous. If you're going to go on a disciplinary act, you need to let everybody know.
Yeah, you need to call somebody, let somebody know something, baby. Anybody heard from me, everybody's calling around. You let somebody know if you're all right.
And we believe that she was last seen on the 16th, late hours of the 16th.
But just what transpired between the time Almanita had disappeared and the time her body was found on August 23rd? To unravel that mystery, detectives pull Almanita's bank and credit card records.
So we've got charges on her card during the time the autopsy report says that she's dead, including one in North Carolina. What do you think of the chances? We got some videos.
Yep.
When police review the security cam footage, it's not Almanita they see on a 6-day shopping spree.
On video, we have images of Marcus using the credit cards.
There were clothing receipts where he had gone and made some purchases with her credit card. I believe there was a couple other receipts there, their ATM receipts.
Then on August 19th, Marcus's 27th birthday, he really dropped some cash.
He went to a nightclub. When he started spending money at this nightclub, the bill was close to $500.
He had a birthday party for himself. Bought out sections in the club and bought out bottles and was just buying bottles for people.
The next night, he takes them to North Carolina. And again, he's using Almanita's credit cards. And they go into a nightclub and they spend another large sum of money. And he takes everybody out to breakfast.
And this was during the period that her father couldn't get a hold of her.
When Marcus was challenged on that, he said that she had just given it to him as a birthday present. He was allowed to go and use her car all weekend, and he was allowed to use all her credit cards and spend as much as he wanted to and buy whatever he wanted to, and it would be fine. But there wasn't anything in the past that suggested he had permission to use the cars, like she hadn't done this before.
In light of their growing suspicion, detectives decide to execute a search of Almanita's home. Almost immediately, they notice something very odd.
There was a lot of air fresheners. In there.
You're almost smacked in the face with this air freshener. There was just so many different smells and coverings going on in this room. They were competition. It was not so much nauseating, but it was just overwhelming when you first walked in the door. It's just too much of it for the size of the house. There's those huge air fresheners that would be used in like a public restroom or a big space where you were gonna, cover up some kind of odors or freshen some odors, and they were just in this little house. I mean, it didn't make sense.
But underneath all that industrial aroma is a smell seasoned investigators are all too familiar with.
You smell that?
Yeah.
It was a decomp odor. It was the smell of death.
There's nothing like it. There's no mistaking it. You smell it once, you'll know again 20 years down the road. When you smell it, you'll know. You can't mask it.
When I opened up the dryer, there was a blanket, just like the one that had been placed over her body by Marcus Bailey. And the smell of decomp coming off of that was excessive.
I think we call them the cadaver dogs. I think you're right.
This is a dog that looks for decaying flesh and human flesh. It doesn't look for anything else other than that.
As the dog makes its way around the home, its well-trained nose soon locks in on two specific rooms, Almanita's master bedroom and a spare bedroom down the hall.
It alerts to this room, and it alerts to this bedding, and it alerts to the different parts of the house, saying that a body had been stored there.
If the dog could talk, it would have definitely said, this has been here for a while. This has not just happened. This is not one day. Oh, this is not 2 days. This is not 3 days. This is several days that this has been here.
Investigators suspect the transporting of the body caused the pungent odor to waft through the house, which explains why officers didn't smell the stench during their initial cursory search. When investigators searched the garage, it appears that Marcus had been preparing to make a fast getaway.
His clothing was all in bags next to the car in the garage. Inside the car were her credit cards, her military ID, and other things.
While officers continue their search of the premises, they know one burning mystery is finally over.
The evidence was telling us specifically that it was not a whodunit. It was obvious that he was the one that had done this, the one that had killed her.
That afternoon, police arrest 27-year-old Marcus Bailey for the death of his former lover, Almanita Smith.
He was arrested at the hospital. I was mad. I was really mad.
I don't think this is domestic violence, and that's something that I've kind of been on the fence about since it's happened. This was just murder, flat out, cold-blooded murder.
While family and friends try to come to grips with the chilling truth, the full spectrum of Marcus's betrayal would soon be illuminated and would shine a light on pure evil.
The dude just had to be nuts. Couldn't be no other explanation besides that you crazy. But then you get out and you live in life while she dead and gone. The fact that he picked up a woman and brought her back to her home was the part that was sickening.
On July 23, 2013, 27-year-old Marcus Bailey's murder trial gets underway inside a Columbia, South Carolina courtroom. Marcus stands accused of killing his on-again, off-again girlfriend, Army reservist Almanita Smith, in August of 2012. A crime that sickens the entire community.
I never would have thought I would be burying my baby. To know that someone, this young man, Marcus Bailey, decided to play God, he took a lot from me.
She had a bright future. She had the world. Anything she wanted to do, she could have done. And he took that.
Prosecutors say Almanita's murder was one final betrayal in a rocky romance rife with lies and false promises.
Marcus wasn't in the military as he led Almanita to believe. In fact, he was dishonorably discharged and wasn't working. And he was still married to another woman with a baby on the way. In a nutshell, Marcus wasn't the man Almanita thought he was.
I don't think he ever loved her. I don't think it was ever a situation where he was in love with her.
Here we have two different people. You've got Almanita, whose military career is growing. She's getting commissioned as an officer in the Army. She just finished college. She owned her own home. She owned her own car. She was being successful and had a mission and a dream. And you've got Marcus. He's got nothing.
I think he was jealous of her.
And while Almanita's head was probably telling her to let Marcus go, it was her heart, prosecutors say, that enabled Marcus to remain in her home.
He didn't have anywhere to go. He didn't have any money. He didn't have a job, couldn't get a job. She was just helping him to get back on his feet.
I believe Almanita had drawn a line in the sand. You're going to mow the yard. You're living here for free. You're going to do this.
Prosecutors believe Marcus balked at Almanita's demands sometime on the night of August 16th, 2012.
They had guests that evening who came over on the 16th.
So, when are you gonna mow the lawn?
I told you I'd get to that.
Get to it when?
And Marcus was saying that he wasn't going to mow the yard. It was his birthday. He didn't want to mow the grass the next day.
They were arguing during that time about him not doing his share around there and so forth. I believe that he probably murdered her that night. Probably after the friend left, they had an argument, and that's when it occurred.
I'm sick and tired of you always complaining all the damn time. You always damn complaining about every single thing.
We'll never know if it was just an argument that escalated or if he planned to kill her that night. And that we won't know because we weren't in the room, and I can't ask Almanita.
Do not. Yo!
Get off of me!
I said, what? Shut up!
She's not breathing. You didn't call 911. You didn't try to help her. You didn't try to save her. You just let her rot. Like she was nothing.
He didn't have her nagging at him anymore. He was able to do what he wanted to, and he did. He went and partied all week, and he spent all her money, and he went all these different places and entertained these other women because he was able to do so. He wasn't under her thumb anymore.
I just think it was insane. It further cemented to me what his motive was. Like, you just wanted her money.
But prosecutors say the depths of Marcus's betrayal were truly sickening.
When he goes out and parties with the nightclub, he's picked up some random girl and had sex in Almanita's car. And then he goes and he picks up the clerk at the clothing store and he takes her back and has sex with her in Almanita's home. We were able to validate that. She did have sex at that time, but she became suspicious a little bit about him because he wouldn't let her go upstairs. He would go upstairs and bring things down like a blanket, and he would go upstairs and bring other things on a pillow so they could be more comfortable downstairs, but he wouldn't take her upstairs.
Let's go upstairs.
And she's like, well, let's go upstairs to the bedroom. And he wouldn't let her go upstairs.
We know that he had sexual relations with another female in the house when the body was upstairs. So there were a lot of those things that really kind of sicken you. You know, when you think about what he was doing, he was using the victim's credit cards, spending her money, and obviously going back that he had killed her. But then at the same time, he's having, sexual relations with somebody else inside the home after killing her.
That's where it skips beyond crazy. It goes, were you crazy or just, are you sick? Which are you? You know what I mean? The whole scenario is disgusting. You know what I mean? It was just disgusting.
In 21 years of law enforcement, that was absolutely the worst story and the worst thing that I'd ever heard. Being there, animal, sheer animal.
This twisted trip finally came to an end on August 22nd.
The father had called him on the 22nd, had called 911. Friends from her work had showed up looking for her because she was missed. And the father then called and said, why are you in her house? Why are you there when she's not there? I'll be up. And then I think the rush kicked in that it was time to place the body out front.
A theory, prosecutors assert, that's bolstered by the trove of evidence that police recovered.
There was video footage of Marcus using Almanita's car and credit card. There were also positive hits by the police cadaver dog inside the home and on the blanket recovered inside the dryer. The evidence that Almanita died inside the house and was stored there for multiple days was overwhelming.
But despite what looks like an impossible case, Marcus's defense attorney does what he can under the circumstances.
It was the defense's idea that, yeah, I did do a lot of bad things. I may have cheated on this person. I may have used this woman's credit cards. I may have brought other women into the house, but that doesn't mean I killed her.
They wanted to attack the cadaver dog, and they wanted to attack the science, and they wanted to attack the neighbors and the witnesses and the friends, and they wanted to say all these people just, randomly had gotten together to kind of do this to Marcus and cause Marcus all this grief.
Finally, on July 31st, 2013, the case goes to the jury. 3 hours later, they return with a verdict: guilty.
Marcus Bailey was sentenced to 50 years in prison.
50 years sounds like there's a hope that you might get out. It just feels like there's hope that you might live to get out. And I don't want him to live to get out. I want him to die in prison.
I want him to spend every waking moment behind bars.
He's a sociopath, calculated, cold-blooded killer is what he is. I hope he rots in jail. I really do.
For a person to not have a conscience, to be able to continue living your life knowing that there is a dead person upstairs. He was either that jealous or just didn't care anymore because he'd pretty much hit bottom.
For Amanita's friends and family, the punishment can never fit the crime, nor fully explain the actions of a wolf hiding in sheep's clothing.
Was it worth it? Was it worth taking her life? Was the outcome worth you taking somebody so rare, so special, from this earth?
He didn't just take anybody. He took somebody that was special. She was an asset to everybody she touched, and that's who he took.
It really hit her family hard. Her mother, Thelma, and her father, Harold, they took it both very hard. And I can't imagine what that's like, because she was a big part of their life, and they were close. And to have that taken away from them for nothing, a few $100, $1,000, whatever, in a weekend of a partying and some clothing just didn't seem fair.
When you look at me, you don't see me. You see God's grace and mercy. That sustains me every day. There are times I feel like I just want to lose my mind, but I know I'm going to be okay. I'm going to be okay.
But in the wake of this tragedy, while Amanita's family was still healing, the residents of Columbia, South Carolina were forced to weather another tough blow.
A boyfriend of Gabby Swainson's mother, the teenager that disappeared the same week that Amanita did, ultimately confessed to killing Gabby and was sentenced to 30 years in prison.
There was no connection between Gabby Swinson's case and Amanita's case, but the good news is both families got justice in the end.